Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week, I'm joined by Krister
Hello.
and Cinders.
Hello.
Here we go again.
I'm sure everybody else heard it, though. Let's go into our news for this week, and we'll begin with the update 41.3.1 release notes. And don't worry, these are much smaller than the last set of release notes we read.
Oh, thanks, Sora.
Did you say thanks, Sauron?
Nothing to see here.
Yes, you
Okay.
did,
Yes. All right. Update 41.3.1 was released on Thursday, October the 10th, 2024. And this included in the Legacy of Morgoth, the Defender movement style now hides all weapons and shields that are not held in your hands. I'm sure that Cinders is happy about that.
yes, I am. But I had already figured out a workaround, so
Oh,
I just-
okay. You already found.
I hid my shield.
All right.
In general, and that helped. But I
Oh,
did enjoy
okay.
it.
Right. And the Defender movement style no longer interferes with stealth animations. I'm just trying to think, trying to be in Defender stance and doing stealth at the same time. They just really don't sound like they go together.
But if you can pull it off.
If you can pull it
maybe
off.
if you're like sneaking up on somebody.
Okay. And Defender movement style no longer plays sheathing animations with it when exiting combat. Yeah, I have noticed this thing where you're finishing combat, you sheath your weapon, and then you suddenly have your weapon out again afterwards because you're now in the Defender movement style. It looks like they've taken care of that.
That was nice of them.
All right. And the Journey's Start milestone skill no longer shows the backpack model on the ground when in Bjorning bear form. How does that particular one work in Bjorning bear form, I wonder?
I don't know. I didn't know you could go take a milestone in bear form.
Well, apparently you can because they wouldn't be worried about it if you couldn't.
Right? I just didn't know that you could until I read this. Now I want to try it, but
Now we're trying to find out what's really going on there, right? Yes. And the Oryx of the Treasured Wellspring mount now correctly continues its dressage emote animations. Since I didn't attempt to do dressage emote animations on that particular mount, I guess I didn't notice that there was a problem.
seems.
And that is it for all the updates in update 41.3.1, though I suspect it also included some of the festival stuff that was added since right when the system came up after the update, the fall festival started. So I'm going to assume that it also included some of that in there because they usually don't include that inside of the release notes. And we also had our first Bobble build for update 42. And that, of course, for the Legacy of Morgoth. And players who have pre-ordered Legacy of Morgoth expansion had access to the U42 stuff on Bobble. And if you didn't, then you would have to purchase the preview either done an pre-order for it, or you could just have done the Bobble points methodology of buying it inside of Bobble itself and be able to get it that way. And the continuation of the Songs and Ways to Win, of course, is not available for the preview. I think I noticed that there are, 3 chapters of it coming up in this expansion. So welcome to the Legacy of Morgoth beta. Legacy of Morgoth is homed in the Valley of Ikorban, located east of Umbar Baharbel. This is a challenge level 150 region with 4 new zones packed with new quests, deeds, missions, and delvings for you to explore. Not everything was available for this test. For example, only 2 of the 4 zones were available. And many rewards, of course, were not in their final form, just taking that into account. For Ambarul, which is the first is bordering Umbar along the ruins of Telperian's Wall, Ambarul is one of the most fruitful lands in the region. Through it flows the Orkaban River, bringing water and enriching the soil while also providing another rich food source, fish and shellfish from the river's brackish waters. And also, because of this natural abundance, the people of Ambarul have been crushed under the thumb of one kingdom after another as far back as they can remember. Until now, the Ambruli have thrown off the shackles. Until now. Now they have thrown off their shackles of the great southern empire of Ordach and continue to fight to regain control of their native lands. And my biggest memory of that area is I arrived there, and the first thing that someone says to me when I go up to them, wondering if they had a quest for me, says, "Where are your parents?"
Whoa. Did you take that as a compliment?
I'm not too sure the average hobbit is happy about being addressed that way when they're trying to interact with us. So,
I thought they were just talking about how mature you were.
Uh-huh. Oh, well. So that's something I'm sure that you could be expecting to run into M the first time you run into there.
Okay.
All right. And Kudzagin is an arid and barren land south of Ambaru, still fights for its freedom from the Ordakai. Through it is still, though still technically within the realm of the Empire of Bordak. Following the War of the Ring, the Ordakai struggle to control the region, rife with ruffians, outlaws, and rebels. Since the fall of Sauron, many could claim to have heard a mysterious voice in the desert winds, the spectral voice chilling and filled with despair, that can be heard whispering indistinct words in the deep hearts late at night. All right. And the other 2 areas they'll be coming soon and opening those up. But those are the 2 areas that are now up there. So you've got one where you have a area that's recently freed, such as similar to Umbar, and the other one which is still under the thumb of the Empire, at least nominally. Also, they had the first of the instances open. Ashunug, the Fane of the Accursed. In the northern lands of Ambaro, you will enter the salt mine of Ashnog. It is now overrun by a cult of Usan Kuni worshippers who call themselves the Anahi. You will push back the cultists and clear the minds of the powerful scorpions who reside there. So yes, this place is filled with scorpions. And I did run this particular one in there, and yes, ran into lots and lots of those nasty critters around there.
Are you sure they're just not misunderstood?
What, you the scorpions?
Yeah. It's a school where they learn scorpion etiquette, and you coming into it is like the rudest thing you could do in scorpion etiquette. And so they're all really upset with you. They're like, "Please, sir, go back to the door and say, 'Sir Scorpion, may I enter?'"
Unfortunately, there are also cultists there who don't seem to be
fine.
very
You know what? The cultists mess up everything. The scorpions would have been happy if the cultists hadn't moved in.
Maybe
Well, yeah,
the
most likely.
scorpions can't tell the difference between us and the cultists. And they're just not happy to have anybody in their home. Maybe they're grouchy recluses.
Well,
Well,
I suppose that's always a possibility.
I think the cultists can be easily identified by their Axe body spray. So probably why they're so angry.
Scorpions are like, it is the call of our food.
I know
It's a
Pine Leaf just shakes his head at this moment when you
Hey, when you are surrounded
babbling
by
incoherently.
when you're surrounded by enough Axe body spray, it does kind of start to smell like death, or you wish you were. So
Yeah, I just speak about it. I haven't smelled it directly in years, and I don't plan to. So
oh,
I don't even
be
know what you're talking
thankful.
about.
Oh
it's a
my
terrifying thing.
goodness. It's like one of the most popular body sprays for guys my age and younger.
Okay.
And they'll douse themselves. The
And they'll
true Axe
douse.
body sprayer.
Yes. So, like Old Spice, right?
Yeah,
And
I've heard
then
of Old Spice.
yes, so it's the younger generation's equivalent.
It's younger. So
New
it's the new
Spice.
Spice.
Young Spice.
Except they call it Axe body spray. And it does kind of make you want to take an axe to yourself.
All right.
The Axe body spray sounds like something dwarves would make.
Right?
You had a hard day working in the
And-
mine.
I could see them applying it like high schoolers too, to try and cover up the smell of working in the mine all day.
Do you have Balrog smell on you?
Now we know
have
what
a
the true
new
doom.
body spray. Okay, you need to make an advertisement for that, Krister. That would be great.
Yes. Let's now then. The next item is the elf update. Elves will have the same style of update as the race of man recently did. We were able to hit every aspect of change that we were targeting, and then some. We will have a lot of polish to do, particularly on the armor models. Newer hairstyles for elves will be rolled out in groups. This initial hair pass is to update the current styles to look on par with that of the humans. While we still have plans for the high elves, we are holding back on them until a later date. We're looking forward to seeing the new elves that you create. Now, I was too busy going around the landscape, looking at the landscape, seeing what's life, being insulted by being called a child and all, and going into the instance and fighting scorpions that I didn't think about checking out the elf update.
Wait. Pine Leaf, you just made me think about what would have made the comment about you being a child even worse.
What?
Where are your parents, Devoniad?
That would have been a good one. Pine Leaf, do you
Yeah?
have any characters that are not hobbits?
Let's see. Well, my minstrel's not a hobbit.
Oh yeah, I've read
But
about that.
the minstrel's really short.
No, she's tall. At least compared to a hobbit.
Yeah.
So Pine Leaf, but she's not an elf either, is she?
No, she's not an elf.
Let's say she's human.
Right.
So I guess it really is. Pine Leaf, do you have any elf characters
Let's see.
for you to
Not-
have really seen the difference in the styles
Well-
or anything?
I have a couple of elf characters. I just don't
Okay.
use them all that often.
Okay.
So, yeah, it would be hard for me to do because I do appear on my elves so rarely that the ones that I do have, they tend to be secondary characters, while my higher end characters, except for my minstrel, they do tend to be hobbits. Yeah.
That was kind of what I was thinking. Okay. No judgment.
Eh.
That sounded judgy. That was not meant to sound judgy.
Let's then head into the reputation enhancements. Though the rewards are not hooked up yet, some significant changes are coming to reputation with the release of Legacy of Morgoth. First, there are 3 new reputations with this expansion. The Fedikari of Umbar, the Tail Wardens, the Ikobani is the people of Shagana, and the Adurhid, and keeping this one a little hidden for now. I will presume that that is the probably the elf group that's in one of the regions is going to be my guess is what that's going to be related to. But the first two, they have their rep vendors right next to each other, so I guess they have something that they are related to each other. Well, the Tail Wardens, that sounds like a group of storytellers. Let's see, and the people of Shigana sounds like the people in general. So those seem to be the two factions. I think the third one is probably the whoever those the desert elves, oasis elves, or whatever they call themselves.
They
I guess
actually
we'll
do
find.
give us a little bit more information as you keep reading.
Okay, I'll continue along then. All right, the main faction of the release is the Ikorbani, and most of the quests will help you to gain your reputation with this group. The two secondary factions get a new exploration experience. Across the zones, you will find amphorae and other random scattered pots in the landscape. These act like special chests. Once you reach the correct faction tier with the tail wardens, you can interact with the first of these amphorae. When you reach the next corresponding relationship tier, you can acquire a kit from the scholars or via barter to access a second style of ancient pottery to gain faction experience and currency. For the Adurhid, the focus is on preservation of nature. Like the Tail Wardens, there are two types of items that you can interact with on the landscape: seeds and seed clusters. There are there are keys allowing you to harvest the rewards from the seeds. As you draw deeper into the expansion testing, we will open up a new feature for VIPs engaging with the reputation system.
I'm actually kind of
The
excited for this, having read it.
Yes, this feature provides subsequent characters on a player's server a small bonus to reputation experience after a character on the server has achieved a certain threshold. The current vision provides VIP players with a single character at ally level to grant a 5% bonus to reputation experience earned by all other characters on the server until they reach ally level. If a character on the server reaches kindred level with the faction, all other characters of the player's account slash server earn a 10% bonus until they reach the kindred threshold of the same faction. Only the three new factions in this expansion have this functionality at this time. Of course, there's always a possibility that someday, if they ever get around to it, which you know that sometimes could be almost forever, they may open it up to other factions. But for now, only the three new factions are going to be getting this thing. And of course, there's always the potential problem of well, they wanted to open it up for other factions, but the old code didn't allow them to because we all know how that happens sometimes.
Well, I don't think it's even a bad thing to not mess with the way it's done at the other factions. But if
Right.
it was something that could continue to be added for newer factions,
Oh, I'm pretty
I
sure it's
like
going
that
to be.
it's,
Yeah.
if it goes well, I would like to see it continue if it functions as designed because I know that
Yep.
would reduce a lot of that grind for people who have multiple characters at cap.
Sometimes I have about two or three characters going through the zone at the same time, parallel to each other. So those characters are less likely to benefit from this.
Yeah, but then I guess I'm thinking about how right now I have that level cap, but then with your characters, and then you have the character that's running around with cinders, and then as we bring those characters up, they're not gonna have to work as hard to get things like rep ports and stuff like that. They'll
Right.
still be doing the stuff because that's just how we play. But at the same time, they'll be able to get the ports and the things to move around and the gear and stuff faster.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be the primary benefit to that. And I think it's going to also encourage people to keep leveling some of their characters because it's not as grindy.
Oh, we'll see how it works.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it when it goes
Okay.
live.
And our next item is coming soon, Bobbles. This system is accessed through the collection panel UI and is very much a work in progress. Much is placeholder and does not function properly. Please hold off testing, bugging, or providing feedback on the system for the time being. Is right now what I saw in there were they have the panel there so that you can look at what the various baubles are, but none of them have been put in there yet, so you can't click on anything or anything like that. This is just at a very, very early stage. So we're
So the
hoping that
bubbles are BS, is what you're saying. Think about this one. Bilbo Bobble, Bilbo Bobble, Bilbo Bobble.
Bilbo bobbled a blue bauble.
Bilbo Bobble, Bingo Boffin, Black Book, pre bacon.
Pre is not the right sound though.
Bacon is. I like the idea of a Bilbo Bobble that just rolls
a
off the tongue.
Bilbo Bobble.
Bilbo Bobble.
Yeah.
Bibble.
And he
Bibble bobble.
bobbled a blue bauble.
Bibbly bobbly boo.
He bubbled a blue bottle, did you say?
Bauble.
A blue bobble. Okay.
Yeah. He
Bilbo's
bobbled.
blue blobble. Bilbo bobbled a blue bubble. Wait.
Bilbo bobbled
Bobbled.
a blue bauble.
Bilbo blobbles.
I think that should be our LOTRO
I think
Killer
that's.
Seasons
You
brought
know
to
what?
us
I think
by...
I've invested far too much energy into bobbles.
All right.
And now I'm saying too much too. Now bobbles lost all meaning.
Yes. Anyway, I did look at them in there, and it's pretty much what I was thinking that they were going to be. All the fireworks look like that they're going to be on the, or at least all of the non-consumable fireworks will
That's
be up
what
there.
I like about the bobble system. There, that's my favorite
You
part.
no longer have to keep all those fireworks in your inventory. I'm sure that will make a lot of people happy in there. Also, the costumes are also going to go into there.
Ooh.
Oh, do you mean all the the cosmetic stuff we get in our?
Nope. I
Oh,
don't think he does.
No. Yeah, I mean the costumes, the things that you have for disguises and similar things.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, guises, costumes, disguises, things of that nature. They're going into there.
I've got the best one. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be happy about that. Anyone who actually, this is something which I guess a lot of people wish were already in the game, since this time of the year is when people are probably carrying all those costumes with them.
Oh yeah. I have both of my well, I have 2 out of my 3 costumes in my pockets right now.
Right. So that sort of thing. Yes, get those out of there so that you could use them without any trouble. So yes, they've got a few of them. So they have the space reserved for them. They have the icons up there, but they're not quite up to the point yet of actually functioning in there. Maybe next week they'll be there. I guess we'll have to find out. But yes, they are preparing work on that. And those are the highlights. So now let's go into the release notes. Now let's see if there's anything. Let's see. Brawler Rush Trait Tier 2 should now properly increase OOC movement to 15%. For champions, reducing punishing strike bleed damage 10%. I don't think that champions are going to be happy about that, I guess.
Probably not.
The hunter base damage is increased by 5%.
Ooh, they'll like that.
Sure they'll like. For the Lore Master, if combat ends while consuming a lightning charge, you should no longer lose your remaining lightning charges. I think that's a red line. Yeah, I think that's red line thing, so I don't know anything about that. Oh, yeah, but I think Cinders will know about it, right?
Oh, yeah. So there is
Okay.
nothing worse than trying to set off a lightning skill and then having all of them be on cooldown while just because you had the character die while you were trying to zing them.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Understood.
irritating. But I'm going to
Reduced
just
ring. Oh.
boo the next 3 in advance.
Yeah. The next three do look like a little bit like a red Lord Master nerf or something because ring of fire damage reduced by 10%.
Searing Embers reduced by
Yes.
10%. Burning Embers, the second tier, by 5%. That one's any line. Just annoying.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
I so
yeah.
rarely use the second tier of burning embers. I keep on forgetting that there is such a thing as second tier burning embers.
So instead of throwing fire and embers on him anymore, you're just kind of pouring warm water on him.
Probably boiling hot water.
Probably not. I mean, 10% damage reduction. That's probably lukewarm at best. The damage comes from all the bacteria in the water.
Right? It's your pet's backwash.
Smoldering embers damage is unchanged.
Well, that's nice of them.
Pet command skills can now correctly be used on monster players.
That would be helpful. I don't.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder.
I do not usually play Freepside, but playing Freepside and having your pet not do what it's supposed to do would be horrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that the pets were at least doing their own attacks, even if you couldn't command them.
They're probably just standing there.
But remember how they changed the way that you command your pet?
Mm-hmm.
And if those weren't functioning correctly, that would have been some very dead lore masters out there.
Well, yeah, there is that. Since
it would have been lore masters for lunch.
And for Runekeepers, Epic Conclusions Lightning video effect should once again appear as intended. For combat and monsters, various fell beasts are no longer immune to power of knowledge, since this skill no longer drains enemy power. Some StatCrunch cleanup erroneously caused many monster modifiers to incorrectly use negative values for mitigation bonuses, causing those buffs to turn into debuffs. This has been corrected, so monsters will once again receive the appropriate mitigation increases that they used to have. This mostly impacts monsters throughout the lower game levels, and especially boss monsters at those levels. Oops. I have a powerful buff on me, but it is reversed. Avun's Swamp Bite attack now properly displays its vitality reducing effect. This effect no longer is curable so that it doesn't block cures on the main dot. Yeah, it is really annoying when you have these double effects put onto you. One of them is really nasty you want to get rid of, and the other one is this minor little thing that increases your vulnerability, but the one that you really need to get rid of is the other one. But you put the cure thing on it and it gets rid of the first one.
All right. Your heart's still out of your chest, but I did resolve your acne.
Yes, that's exactly it. For crafting, uncut gems are now less likely to drop from enemies throughout the world. Gems found in containers and prospecting nodes are unchanged.
Yeah, you figured people would have more finished gems out there in the world in general.
Well, it doesn't say anything about
I don't think they drop finished gems.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
of course not. They don't bring them with them. They keep them at home.
They don't know how to polish them either, you know?
Yeah.
Wait, monsters don't know how to polish? Come on. Maybe they don't want to polish, but I bet you they're aware of it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Many level 150 crafting components have been renamed to use the word Shagani instead of Umbari to better reflect the regions in which they may be found. Umbar's Crafting Guild has loosened its restrictions on bartering for items to improve your Eriador Crafting Guild today. I've always wondered why they had those restrictions on there in the first place because they seemed like impossible in order to ever barter for those items because they will only barter to you if you didn't need it.
Yep.
That sounds about right.
And yeah, uh, so that will be fixed when we have the release. For quests, deeds, and adventure areas, in the Vales of Anduin quest wood for the walls, the damaged walls should now be easier to click on when the floating names are off. Thank you. The corpse that bestows the Breland quest, the failed delivery, will no longer be selectable after the quest is completed, which is good because there's nothing like saying, "Oh, is there something around here? Oh, here's something. Oh, wait, we already did that quest." The Dol hard mode quest, Let Them Hunger and One Fell Swoop, will now only be bestowed to characters who can complete them. I'm trying to remember what exactly is this talking about.
I just remember. Well, of course, you made me think about the Devoniad comment immediately. Are they going to have that guy standing up there? I'm sorry, Devoniad, you're not prepared to take this. What? That's really funny. So I'm assuming they're talking about level requirement, or I mean, what is the factor?
I
Maybe you didn't unlock certain things through questing or something.
Okay, see, I try to remember what quest this is. This is the wargs have acquired the taste for raw flesh. The beast became ravenous and enter into Dringadale and defeat the goblin leader and the warg matron. Let's see, the goblins. I have absolutely. It's a small fellowship quest. So yeah, I don't quite understand exactly what it's saying in there, but all right. Whatever. The Evening quest, a friend of the kings of old, now states clearly that to advance the objective, you must complete 2 other quests. It also shows the locations of the bestowers of these quests on the map.
Yay!
Okay, good. The Udon quest, The Lonely Lookout, has been revised to correct several issues. There are now quest guides that help locate objectives, and some text has been changed for clarity. Please note, players who logged out with The Lonely Lookout in progress will need to re-accept the quest and start it over due to versioning. The North Downs quest, a request to the Earthkin, is now bestowed by Gondrak in Esteldine. All right, because right now I think it's like bestowed in Evendim or something like that, I think. I always thought it was a rather weird one. And the placement and appearance of the tar sand used in the Cape of Umbar quest, the black sand, has been adjusted.
Right. Is it a different shaped pile or something? What is it?
I don't know. Maybe they put them into a more convenient location. So I can't remember where those black sands were located. I think they're amongst the spiders or something like that. But I think I only did that quest either once or twice, so I can't be sure on the matter. And now, for instances and skirmishes, the Rifter Nurzgashu, Tharlok is now immune to crowd control effects.
Wait, more of them should be not immune to crowd control effects. We want to control it.
They should all have the ability to be crowd controlled.
Well, apparently Tharlok disagrees, and it's hard to argue with the Balrog, right?
Well, the Balrog's got some deep connections, let's say, to the good old Balrog network.
Yeah, with a good old Balrog network in there.
So you can
So
tell I've totally done the Rift of Nerskashu, because I had no idea.
yeah. Oh, you haven't done the Rift yet?
No, it's on the Cinders hasn't done it list that Cinders still
Oh,
hasn't done.
Just don't step in the slime. Prepare to fight a lot of
ah.
slugs.
And if you really want the true experience, you do it on the Angmar or Mordor server, where it's
Yeah.
where it's capped content.
Or I take a character who is level appropriate on the regular servers.
Well, there is that. It's just it's harder to find a group that has everybody at level appropriate range, unless you're in a specific group that's doing it for a challenge or something like that.
Yeah. You can tell I'm in a total rush to do it too.
Yeah.
Very much a high priority.
Well, it's been a while since I've done that raid. And sorry, Surma, Drugoth now has an appropriate mariner specific skill. 4 missions and delvings. In the Gunabad mission, Sting Like a Grodbog, the mucus quest objects now behave correctly. Don't ask me.
I don't even want to know. I think
Yes.
about any of that.
The Odor Slade mission into the Crystal Tunnels now has a usable exit portal in the mission space. The following Cardline and Swanfleet missions have been updated due to a performance fix. The missions will be removed from your quest log if underway. And no, I'm not going to read through all these, but it's about a third of all the Cardline and Swanfleet missions are being updated in this way. For housing and decorations, a few housing rewards from the Dragon in the Storm instance were smaller than intended and are now slightly larger. This affects the Dragon in the Storm painting, tapestry, chair, and hearth items. Yes, I think some of them look like that they were designed for baby hobbits.
Oh, I was hoping you'd get like a 3x5 card or something. This must be a full size painting. 3x5 card.
As for items and rewards, the following items will now go into the junk carryall: jade gemstones, mithril dust, old arrowheads, and ancient spearheads. Ornamental PvP appearances from the recent event reward track should now correctly take clothing dyes. And Osgiliath instance cluster equipment should now have an appropriate minimum level requirement when it fails to scale correctly to your character's level. There are also several updates to the Etmores, which I will save that for when they have the release.
Yeah, I'm still giggling though that they have a typo that they fixed. Because it doesn't seem so much like a miskey as just the wrong word completely. They fixed the typo on the radar where players and monster players would be labeled as warbands instead of glory seekers. That one just cracks me up.
Yeah, well,
because that's more than just a slip of the finger.
Yes. Well, yeah. There is that. As for landscape, texture issues in Umbar Mulk have been resolved. Z fighting issues in Umbar Mulk have been resolved. And floating asset issues in Umbar Mulk have been resolved.
I wonder if they were all related.
Probably. In German, several voiceover lines for the Blackroot Vale, Gondor Renewed, and Umbar are now playing correctly in German.
I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yes. And on the character select screen, avatar update visible checkbox is only visible for avatar races that use it. These races are currently only dwarves and hobbits.
Okay.
All right. And that is it for the updates. Remember, though, that this is the first test build for update 42. So it'll be a few weeks before these go live. These won't go live until, well, currently, I think they're slating November 6th or something like that. But we know that things occasionally slip. So,
Well, I'm ready. I stockpiled a bunch of caffeine, so I'm ready for your next full release notes read.
we'll probably split it up like we did the last one.
Into 3 10-hour sessions.
I think it should be a marathon session, and I will be into my Mardi Gras flavored coffee too. I'm still excited to try that.
Mardi Gras flavored
Mardi
coffee?
Gras flavor? Yeah.
I don't even know what Mardi Gras blend is.
It feels like Mardi Gras would have a lot of flavors in it. So
wait. I just wondering though, shouldn't that be appropriate for February?
You would think, but I went to the grocery store at the beginning of the month and I got another. I was picking out another thing of coffee grounds because I knew I was
every day is Mardi Gras.
And I saw this blend and it says Mardi Gras blend, and I'm really excited to try it because it seems like a party in a cup.
I feel like your expectations have been set a little too high now.
Yes.
Hey, when you add enough creamer and sugar, everything becomes a party in a cup.
Yeah, it was a party in a cup, all right, but it wasn't the party that you'd want to go to.
Okay. Also, on Friday, since Cordovan wasn't available for Friday's stream, Orion came in there for another session of There and Back Again, where he went over several things on it. Mainly talked about the roadmap and where things were on the roadmap. Since the first and second quarter, they went about pretty well, but I don't think you need to go too far on the summer part 3 in order to determine that things diverged in the middle of the year. And for example, all right, we had the festival, we had the new hobby, we had the 4th profession added, but then there was this thing, further adventures. Well, it looks like the further adventures got pushed back maybe next year, but further adventures apparently is not going to happen this year. So we're not going to have a further adventures.
Whoa.
And
it's the Foresters event that derailed everything.
Yeah, most likely. And they planned for the summer some Monster Play updates, so that looks like it's coming in update 42, since they had so many things listed under Monster Play for there that I decided, all right, let's save that for the real update. I'll probably, in fact, when the real update comes out, I'll probably do that on a separate episode from the rest of them because it looks like it's going to take a little sweet time on there. Elf Avatar refresh, that got postponed to the autumn. The class updates. And then VIP updates. I don't recall, were there any VIP updates in the summer? If they were so small that I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't remember it.
Yeah. Now, we do have the VIP update coming up with the expansion for the Reputation. So that's the only one I remember on that. So, there was a lot of things didn't get done there. And as well as for the autumn, well, okay, they talk about the new expansion. Okay, fine. We see that coming along. The Epic Continuing, we expect that. Kinship refresh, not going to happen this year. The Harvest Math, okay, that's happening now. And the Yule Festival, of course, will be happening later on here. Now, he did have several points that he raised in here. Like, earlier in the year, they were talking about level downscaling, where maybe you'll be able to bring your level down to match those of the rest of your fellowship for a certain quest or something like this. And it looks like that things are as usual when they try to go into old code that says, well, this looks like this isn't going to be as easy as we thought, as a common saying there. So it looks like that they've decided that since level down scaling is probably going to tie in very closely with kinships, because they're the ones who most commonly probably are going to be utilizing this feature, that they're going to be seeing if they can do it at the same time as the kinship updates, which they expect to be next year. I know kinship is that's another thing that has often been postponed. Hunter rework. Well, there is not going to be any significant class work for the expansion or for the first update next year. So probably after those two updates is probably when the Hunter and the Berg might see some updates to it. So don't expect any Hunter rework for the next 6 months. As for Moria and on the Vale, Moria is currently planned for December on the Angmar and on the Mordor servers. And that there are going to be some adjustments because they don't think that Nazgul appearing in Moria is going to be very appropriate. So they said that they are probably going to have something that is more appropriate for Moria when you're down in there. So that to me sounds like that we are going to run into some nameless because what do you expect out of Moria? Nameless all over the place is what I probably going to be expecting. So that's going to be my guess is that we're going to be running into nameless replacing the raids when they open up Moria. I guess we'll find that out in about 2 months, I guess. All right. And also, they are working on getting some public instances done so they could have the ring raids event. Because I think I talked about that earlier, that they are working on the public instance version of the ring raid so that they could help to smooth that out a little bit. Let's see. And they are looking into changing the tier system for their instances and seeing if they could get that better. They're trying to see if they can get a 3-tier system where they have an easy, traditional, and hard levels for it.
Oh, bummer. I was really hoping they were going to go, okay, this raid goes to 11. They just added 11. Sorry.
All right. And the new raid that's coming up that'll be released that's related to this expansion, and the raid I think scheduled for January, February, somewhere around there. That raid is going to have 6 bosses and 3 wings.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big one. So since it has 3 wings, that means you can split it up into 3 sessions. So we'll see how.
Okay. So
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons for splitting it into 3 wings was so that you can split it into separate sessions if you needed to do that. Because
I wonder if they are considering changing the resets around at all. If that's the case, what if you can't get your group together for a week, to do it?
Well, I think that because they're in 3 wings, the resets aren't going to be as necessary. Or at least, I think they're going to, because he thinks that this will handle it better than raid locks will.
Okay. So that's the case. That's awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
So I have a feeling then that you could choose which of them you go into. Now, it could be that you need that the first time you do it, you have to do, you might unlock a deed on the first wing or something like this, and that it could unlock the second wing. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
It's probably an order in it, but it could be that if you've unlocked one wing, that might stay unlocked, or that may be it. So if there's a lock, it might be a loot lock or something like that. That would be, on a particular chest or something like that, which I suspect is it. So that would be my guess. Right now, they're in the early stages of designing it, so anything that's said is subject to change. You know how it is.
Yeah, and we're not. There's not a level increase coming anytime soon, right? We're going to be this level for a bit. So
I expect another year at this level. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. I want to set my expectations that if they come out with that raid and raise the level cap soon after that, that'll be incredibly frustrating.
No, I think that you'll have at least 6 months, probably 9 months after the raid comes out. All right, and the next update after the expansion, the next major update after that, or is going to be a quality of life update. And they're trying to improve some long-standing issues and trying to get rid of as many of those issues as possible, whatever. So there's an emphasis on quality of life items in there rather than pushing any major things.
I like that.
All right, so we'll see that. We hope that goes well.
Yeah, me too. Because hopefully, I can think of a couple things that if they fixed them, they'd be really nice. But I hope they don't fix any of the helmet glitches because I like the helmet glitch.
Right. All right. Now they say that concerning consumable items and the Bobble system, it looks like that I thought I noticed that many of the consumable items are already on the panel for the Bobble system, but Ryan made it sound like that they might not work as intended yet. So there's a possibility that those things are just going to be pulled off the panel before the release because they're having trouble getting consumables to work right with the Bobble system. But the non-consumables, they're not going to be any problem at all. But the consumables, they might prove to be a problem, so they might not make the release. There's a possibility on that matter. And someone was asking, of course, the traditional thing is, when is full open world PvP coming into the game?
And I thought it would be an exciting thing to maybe even not without maybe announcing it subtly, just telling all the creeps, you're not constrained by the PvP zone anymore if you can make it out of there.
Yeah, well, and Orion made it very, very clear that no, there will never be full open PvP in this game. And the developers who are very reluctant to say never. So it just gives that. No, it is completely against their license, against the style of the game and everything like this. And I am happy for that it's that way because to me, I don't want a game with open world PvP. I mean, there's a reason why I don't play WoW.
Right. But it would be cool to have like maybe temporary events where you had.
Well, they did that with the Elro here thing. They had the two brothers thing in a special server a few years back. I don't know if you remember that.
I do, but that would be. I wonder if just the event itself is so hard to pull off that you can't. You can only do it once in a great while or something,
Yeah, well, and anyway, I don't think that satisfied the people who really love open world PvP all that much.
No, yeah, I don't think you'll ever satisfy them.
I guess they're saying that they. I don't know because right now this is pretty much a one faction game. I know in the Moors it's a two faction game. But outside of the Moors, it's a one faction game. PvP is tough to do in a one faction game.
True, that's very true. And in fact, it feels the best feel is 3 factions or more, I guess. You know what I mean? If you're going to be doing true PvP, you want to have some fracturing going on. So it keeps everything spicy, right? So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. There's no. I'm assuming if they had worked to flesh out the monster play as much as free play, that you might have more people more interested in PvP. If there's the different progressions and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. It just feels like PvP is when you're playing your PvP character, it's not a character that you're doing in anything else other than playing PvP. Whereas your other character is a character you're adventuring with and doing other stuff.
Right.
So that's what like ESO. So ESO, you have your different factions, but your characters are fully fleshed out characters in each faction.
Yeah, they're fully fleshed out in each faction, and even in ESO, they do limit PvP to one certain zone.
That's absolutely true. Yep. Yeah. I mean, you can technically duel anywhere, but that's not something that's just open world type of thing.
Yeah, well, dueling is something. I mean, even in LOTRO, you have sparring,
Right.
and they
Right.
call it sparring because, of course, is you're two people in the same faction practicing and practicing or doing a competition against each other and not really seriously fighting each other. And anyway, he also noted that next year they're hoping to do quarterly roadmap discussions instead of that once at the beginning of the year and then let's see how much they failed by at the end of the year. So instead next year they're hoping to give incremental updates every
Incremental
month.
failure.
I do
So that-
appreciate a good progress report where they can modify expectations.
Yes. So we'll see how that works. And anyway, all of that is in the linked video. I have a link to the Twitch video where he goes over through this, where you could hear what he actually said as opposed to my translation, which I'm sure it turned into a game of telephone or something like that. So that is it for the game news. So let's go into the store sales. And Cinders, what's on sale this week?
We have the Friends of Radagast get 30% off of select pets and kites, housing items, and mounts through October 17th. And also, there's the weekly coupon for a free plus 20% mount speed for 6 hours with the coupon code JAUNTYTROT, JAUNTYTROT, also through October 17th.
Just a trot.
Yep, a jaunty one, though.
A jaunty one. A jaunty. All right. There we go. And I heard that our news this week is brought to us by Bilbo Bobbles, a blue bauble.
I couldn't
Bilbo
resist
Bobbles,
actually
Bilbo
putting it
Bobble,
in the notes.
Bilbo Bobble. Bilbo Bobble, Bilbo
That seems
Bobble,
like a
Bilbo
perfect
Bobble.
place to put it. It was either that or Gerardo's Halloween costume. Because I got a whole story about how the Nazgul costume is going, but
Okay.
we can save that for next week.
All right. Then. Okay, and now you had a reminiscing.
Yeah, I think it's
Item
a
for us this
reminiscing
week?
one more than new player question. What is your favorite harvest math activity? And then, like in the game, and then in real life, what do you like to do in the fall? So it's kind of a two-part.
Mm-hmm. It's been a few years since I've done harvest math.
Ah!
Usually I'm just so busy questing and trying to get ready for the expansion. Harvest Math Festival gets forgotten.
Yes, harvest math. Harvest. Wait.
Hobbit's math.
What is it called again?
Harvest math. Are you telling me that you don't go to?
It means nothing to me. You don't understand. The only focus that Krister has when it comes to festivals is Winterfest. It's
Okay,
Yule
but they've
Festival.
got some
Goes
cool
and goes and goes
cosmetics.
and goes and goes. Goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. You know why? My favorite thing in Middle Earth is to go to that little town and find my favorite hobbit and see if he's still passed out in his own beer on the floor, and he doesn't disappoint every time. It's like I'm visiting a shrine.
Well, that's Yule.
Yeah, that is
Yes,
Yule Fest.
that's what
He
I'm
says
saying,
that's
though,
the
is
only one he
that-
does.
I sleep over harvest math into you.
I am shocked that you, the cosmetic lover, are not in there getting your cosmetics.
I jauntily gallop past harvest math to you. Yeah, you're right. I haven't checked out the cosmetics. That would be incredibly stupidly my only motivation for doing anything anymore. It's like you can gain all the power in the universe. Oh, you get this nice
Cosmetics.
looking. Yeah, you get this nice looking hat. Oh, okay.
Well, so the one year they had the one that makes you look like an owl with the hood and the cloak. That was a really cool set of cosmetics. And that's where the outfit that Em was running around on, she got that at Harvest Math a couple last year, a couple years ago. Yeah, I like. I actually like a bunch of different ones, but my favorite, really random one to do is the bobbing for apples.
Is that an emote?
No, there's a bucket, and you go over and you can bob for an apple, and the apple that you get gets you a reward, like one or
Disgusting.
two little things.
What other awful things do hobbits do?
Yeah, well, I thought it was a really funny way to incorporate like something that happens in real life in there. And then I did like when they added Wistmead in the puzzle. So I like a good maze, but I like a maze I can figure out quickly. The problem with Wistmead is it changes like every day. It's at one of 7, and you don't know which one it is until you're in there trying to race through it. Right? So it's more challenging than the what's the other one? The haunted burrow, right?
Yeah, the haunted burrow was down. Yeah, we got that down to a science at one point.
Yeah, which is what made Wistmead such a unique twist on that. Yeah, so I like that in the game. And in real life, my favorite fall activity is making and eating gingerbread and pumpkin bread. Those are my favorite things.
They're both good breads.
They're delicious. Especially warm right out of the oven with a little butter. Yeah. Or in the case of gingerbread, whipped cream. Or ice cream.
Oh, yep. There we go. Warm gingerbread, ice cold ice cream. Yum, yum.
Yep. Oh, it's so good.
Okay. Then let's go to our weekend gaming. Krister, what were you up to?
Well, this last week I was on vacation and everything just didn't really go as planned, but I had no plans. So it did actually go as planned, I guess. We went out on our little adventure, which was escorting a hobbit whose most important priority was not facing the evil of the world, but mining ore nodes that we came across. And, and other than that, really didn't do much gaming. But I've been having my monitor dilemma. I've gotten myself into it. I have no excuses. I had the 3 monitors set up. I had this amazing. I mean, it was almost like a 10K setup. It was incredible. And now 2 of the monitors have died. I'm down to a single monitor. And I'll tell you what, going from 3 monitors to 1 monitor stinks. It stinks. So anytime I have to spend more than $100, I have to think about it for like a few months. So I hope I continue to do that, because it's not that I'm frugal. It's just I'm hesitant. And so that was just from years of being poor when I was younger. But I'm starting to solidify on wanting to get a curved monitor. So I'm going to take a look at that. And of course, if I end up getting one, I'll let you guys know what it's like, if it's like the end all be all of experiences. But the bottom line is, any single monitor I get will not equal the 3 monitors I used to have. It was quite a setup. But the nerd in me realizes that you don't want anybody to actually see the setup, because then they'll realize how much of a dork you really are.
Yeah. Now, what concerns me concerning a single huge curved monitor is, now with monitor, it sounds like the computer going to say, "Oh, you want LOTRO to take up this entire screen in there?" Which, well, usually the reason why I have 2 monitors is so that on the second monitor I could have the non-gaming stuff, so that if I needed to reference something, I could do so.
That's how you
Yeah,
do
I've been thinking about that
that.
I've been thinking about that quite a bit too, because there's another. I don't know. I don't know if my current NVIDIA card does it, but there was the other NVIDIA card I had. You could actually hook the 3 monitors up, and then you could have like I don't know, almost like a monitoring monitor, just like you could just hook up a low res monitor to it as well, and have that out there separately. So yeah, I totally understand what you mean too. That's what the agony of it. At work, I had the dual monitors, so that was great. You could have all your work up at the same time. So the single monitor thing is this feels like first world monitor problems right here. I have a monitor. I should be thankful I have a monitor. At all. So
See,
but you're right. The curiosity is get the big giant monitor, deal with the big giant monitor issues, or get two more monitors and set them up like I set it up before. Because at least NVIDIA has over the years been able to support multi-monitor much better. So, and it's so nice. You know what? The three monitors, I'll tell you. When I got that first set up, and you're in a game like Lord of the Rings or a first-person game, to have your peripheral vision is incredible. It's incredibly immersive. Like a driving game is incredibly immersive. But anyways, so yeah, that's my debate about the monitors. I've got to do something because the single monitor is driving me crazy now. And so other than that, pretty light week. I've got one more week of vacation, and this unfortunately I've got to reorient myself to a much earlier schedule. So this vacation week, I've decided that I'm going to get up very early every day to kind of prep myself for the week after, where I'm going to be getting up early every day. Okay, so that was kind of my week in gaming. Cinders, what were you up to?
Well, so before I dive into that, I just want to say, Pineleaf, I feel like some of the magic is now gone, knowing that you have two monitors. I just thought you had all that information in your head this whole time. I've just been like, the Pinepedia was like a real thing for me.
You didn't even realize it. You didn't even realize it, Cinders. But years ago, Pineleaf perfected his own voice generation, and so he hasn't even been saying 70% of it.
Well, I'm just sitting here, and I was just like, that makes a lot of sense. But in my head, like, it never occurred to me. I was just like, Pineleaf is like knows everything about this game. So
well, if you listen to if you listen to him very carefully,
I think half the stuff I don't. Well, there are a number of things that I don't bother looking up, but if you see a long pause, I'm probably looking it up.
See, I just always thought you were like thinking and like shuffling through like a card catalog in your brain for the right info. Like, it didn't occur to me that you were using like a monitor or looking it up.
You're never going to believe that you can recall anything again.
I was like, do you know that or did you Google it? No, so I started off being the pretty pink princess that got to go prancing through the Ironfold, followed by my two loyal guards, Pineleaf and Krister, in search of Ironfold ore and other random shenanigans. So I did a little bit of deeding while I was doing that as well.
Okay, so it was the Adventures of Pine and Pink.
And Krister, yes.
Well, I have to think of a name that goes with P that goes with Krister. I mean, do you call him the Paladin or do we call him the Pine Pink and Paladin?
Punk.
His reputation would support Punk. Yeah, Punk would be a better one.
I think Punk goes really well with what Krister was actually doing.
Okay, you got a point there.
Riding around and
oh, that's right. That's right. I have a trample problem.
He did.
I like trampling, and I like trampling everything. And I trampled all these things, and I trampled there, and I trampled here.
But he
I trampled that. I trampled this.
Did not trample on M.
Well, that's because I couldn't.
It didn't even look like you tried, so thank you. Also, then I did Friday Night Fights with the Mythgard folks and discovered M can still hold her own in 6-person instances.
Hooray!
So that was fun. I hadn't done that for a while, and even though I had a worse sounding voice yesterday, it was lots of fun to do that. And then I completed the landmark deed in the Wells of Langflood while gathering Arid Mithrin ore this morning, before my attempt at sewing that ended with a trip to Joanne Fabrics and spending too much money. I did attempt to save money by like ordering online, but then it wasn't working. I was like, if I'm going to be spending double what I wanted to anyways, I might as well go in and pick what I want. And I ended up spending more than what I would have if I had ordered it and paid double what they were charging. I found some other things that I liked, like pink fabric and, Pineleaf, how was your week?
All right, I'll begin with the field trip where the merry crew tracked down a felled beast. Then for Friday Night Fight, we ran a couple of 6-player Anonymous quests, which, as Cinder says, M was doing the tanking for that. And considering that the last time we attempted those instances, it was an utter failure, and that just bring in Emeralina, and suddenly it becomes an easy, no problem whatsoever at all.
I'm
Hooray!
just
course of it.
saying, having a pink hobbit along makes a huge
Yep.
difference.
It certainly does. And my junior lore master attempted to sober up a drunk minstrel.
Good luck with that one.
I know, we had a lot of trouble. I mean, I tried to give him some honey infused water, but he was complaining that the mead was watered down. We don't have any emails to read this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@loachplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have Loach Players News, and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You can join us for our shows at loachplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight then. This is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.